Alright, what's up, everybody? Today I want to put out my thoughts on one of the things that's hugely debated and talked about and hated in the community, or mainly on Discord and Reddit, which is bringing in really good gear into normals. Normals. Alright. So, me as a player, we never really have a third because, as a lot of you know, the player count has dipped. All of the people that I know that used to play this game no longer play it. It's really just down to me and one of my buddies. So we play the duo map, Ruins. It's a normal. There's no high roller variation of it, so it's all normal. And we'll bring in the gear that we like to use, which is really strong gear, because I think it's fun. I don't like going in there as a rogue, base kit with nothing, and hitting for 12. It's super boring to me, and it's so lame. And as I've been streaming a lot more here recently, people will come into my chat right after we kill them, and they'll start complaining and whining and bitching for the longest time because we're both running good gear, like really good gear. And I don't really get it. So their main thing is what I do and what these other players do, which I have no problem with anybody bringing in gear. If you want to go in every single game wearing the most cranked bis kit, normals, high rollers, solos, whatever you want to do, play the game however you want to fucking play. Don't worry about these fucking whiners at all. Play with whatever gear you want. If you think going in there completely naked is fun, do it. If you think going in here cranked as fuck is fun, do it. If you think going in here with a mid level kit is good, do it. Do whatever you want to do to play the video game. Don't complain when somebody plays how they want to play just because you think it's not fun to get rolled over and two-shot when you have the same kind. Like, we all started with nothing. The game wiped. All of our characters were level 1. Or, not level 1. They will be in the middle of the month. But they were all 0 gold with nothing. So, why is it that people are like, we can't get gear because we just keep getting rolled by the fucking BIS players in the lobby? Like, we all started at the same spot. Why should they not be able to run their gear that they worked for and put in like hours in the game just because you're not having a good time? And they'll be like, oh, well, they should just play high roller. High roller is terrible. It's not incentivized enough to even want to go down there, to even go to that lobby, because one, if you're in NA, if you go to West, you have the potential to get nothing but Chinese gold farmers that are going to team the entire lobby and either completely avoid you and then you just went in there for basically nothing. Two, you're going to get a lobby with four to five players, and then again nothing happens because it doesn't fill up, and now you're the entire zone, you don't see anybody, and you just go down and boss, and then it's just a PvE experience, and it's not fun. So the whole go to high roller thing doesn't really make sense to me. There's nothing there. There's either a lobby full of gold farmers that are teaming in a Discord call somewhere, or nobody. You'll occasionally get the lobby that has, another team that's equally as geared as you, but then if it does fill, it's like one team that's equally as geared and like 20 naked rogues just trying to make gold. Whereas normals, they always fill, period. They're going to fill every single time. There's going to be more geared players there because everyone that is geared and knows about what High Roller is, they go to normals because it's more fun. There's more players. There's more geared players there because of how bad High Roller is. But then you get these people on Reddit and in the Discord and coming to your streams after you kill them just berating you because you bring in gear. It doesn't bother me one bit. I'm going to be honest. Literally my title of my stream is usually Welcome to the Whiners. So y'all can come into my stream and hate all you want because it's never going to bother me. But it doesn't really make sense. Like, why should I cater to how you want me to play because you don't have gear? When obviously I've played since like playtest 2 and know what to do, how to get gear, how to make infinite gold, and we all start at the same place. It'd be different if on day 1 all the people who had infinite gold before started out with like a 5,000 gold head start, but we don't. We all start at the same place. It really boils down to y'all, the players that are getting rolled are either new to these type of games and they never played like a Tarkov or a Cycle Frontier or to a lesser extent Hunt Showdown. Because I've come from having 5,000 hours in Tarkov. That I fully believe that if these players that are whining about gear in these normal lobbies, they wouldn't survive in Tarkov for like 2 raids. Tarkov doesn't hold your hand at all. Obviously, they give you, oh, here's your little scav character every 30 minutes that you can go in and try to make some loot on. But that's it. They don't tell you what to do at all. They don't tell you where to extract. You don't get a map. You don't get, like... It isn't portals that spawn that you get pushed into by the circle. It's just a map. And that's what the nature of the game is. It's a hardcore extraction, a looter extraction. Extraction looter, whatever the fuck you want to call it. With PvPvE. So... what do you expect from this type of game? This isn't a casual, I'm going to just sit down and play for 5 minutes and expect to be fine. It doesn't work like that. These are grindy, unforgiving games, and they always have been, and they always will be. It's not something that a little Timmy, someone who's new or just doesn't know what they're doing, it's not friendly to that. And you shouldn't expect it to be. It's a hardcore game and in its roots. So the people that come into streams and are on Reddit and in the Discord just complaining that they're rolled every single game, that's not true, by these players with the most BIS crank kits they've ever seen, either one, just see colors, because, this shit right here, if this was on me, this shit is terrible. It has 3 strength and nothing else. That's all it has. It's just 3 strength. But a newer player could see that and be like, oh my god, it's purple, it's actually fucking cranked. And they just don't know what they're looking at, and all they see is purple. Like, I could put on a purple kit. I could put on a full legendary kit. Full unique kit. And be garbage, because it's going to be all resourcefulness and knowledge and will for this rogue. And I'll be hitting pretty much a little bit more because of the weapon damage from, if I had a unique weapon. But it'd be pretty much the same thing as a base kit. But if I killed somebody and they seen that, they're going to see all uniques and think, oh my god, that guy's fucking cranked. Let me go tell him he's a fucking loser. So it's a lot of that. Because I know there's nobody in the game that's getting killed by someone who's actually in full bis every single game. It's unrealistic. It's the colors that they're seeing. I really wish. I bet if they removed colors from the game, like the colors of rarities, they can't, obviously. But if they remove this color, people would stop complaining really hard, and they'd be like, oh my god, this guy just two-tapped me. His gear was better than mine. But they wouldn't even know what they're looking at, because it would all be, if it was all gray, it would all just look gray, and then it'd be, they would have to learn what these roles are to be good. Like, I had someone tell me the other day that my 5 magical power was scaling my rupture. And I was like, I was wearing something a lot worse than what I'm wearing now, but I was wearing, good stuff, just purples and blues with, strength, additional fizz and all that. But he looked at my chest and was like, what do you mean that chest isn't, none of that kit is good? Your fucking Fatted Tunic is giving you 5 magical power for your rupture. And I'm like, rupture doesn't scale off magical power, it does physical damage. So I really do believe it's, people don't know what they're looking at because they're very new, and but it doesn't give you an excuse. You don't get a get out of jail free card in a hardcore PvP VE game, Looter Extractor, just because you're new or just because you don't have anything on. Like, everyone in the game has the option to put on gear. Like, you could literally just collect candy for the first week of wipe, go over to Jack-O-Lantern, like, oh, hey, a padded tunic, and buy a padded tunic and get a decent padded tunic. Like, this padded tunic ain't great, but it has 3 strength, 1.4 PDR, plus 8 armor rating. Fine enough for, like, a fighter, like PDR fighter. Or not PDR fighter, but Slayer fighter. That would be great. But they don't know that. So, I don't know what has to be done. I don't think anybody should ever be punished or ever think they shouldn't be able to run any kind of gear that they want. Period. If you want to run the most crank kit that you have every single game and play in normals, because High Roller is not worth it at all, because 1, there's not going to be a lot of PvP there anyways, and 2, the gear in the game isn't that great to want to go there for 15 minutes of the most boring shit you've ever seen. Unless you just want the uniques. Like, if you want the uniques, obviously you have to go to High Roller and you want to kill the boss. If that's what you're doing and you don't mind sitting in an empty lobby for 3 minutes in pregame and then an empty lobby for 15 minutes before you even get to the boss, do it. But until High Roller is more worth it, and they would have to up the gear, because the gear right now isn't, like, I could get this shit in a regular lobby. They would have to, like, I don't know what they could do. They would have to put, like, better rolls on shit that are, like, locked to HR. Like, leave the gear pool how it is for normals, and then give HR loot plus weapon damage plus all ads. And that shit can only be brought into HR. So if you find it, you have to bring it to HR. Or something like that. I don't think they should gear cap lobbies, because if you gear cap normals, only thing that's going to do is, 1, drive up the prices of anything. Like, if they gear lock it to green, that's going to drive up the prices of greens so astronomically high, because 99% of the player base is in normals, where these players can't even obtain that gear. And 2, let's say a Timmy finds a piece of blue or purple gear in a raid and they want to use it. They won't be able to, because they're not going to want to go to High Roller, because they're going to get rolled by the first red skeleton that they see. And it's not going to be fun for them at all. So only thing that does is restrict what players can use. And then it's not even fun. Like, nobody wants this to just, well, I'm not going to say nobody, because a lot of Redditors seem to want this to be Grays only, the video game, and have no loot at all, and just hit for 5 and hold hands. I don't understand that way of thinking. You want to be able to progress your gear, whether that's normals or HR. In my opinion, the way to deal with this is to completely remove HR and just crank the gear up in normals. And so nobody has anything to say about, oh, go to fucking HR, you loser. You have fucking best gear in these normal lobbies. Like, who cares? Crank the gear up to the max in normals so everyone has a chance to get this shit that's supposedly the best shit they've ever seen, even though it's 95% it's the color purple or gold with 45% magical interaction speed. Just crank the gear normals, get rid of HR completely, because it's doomed. It's hopeless. There's nothing that you could do in normals or in HR that can make it worth it without completely gutting normals. And then it'll just be reverse. It's like now the normal players are gonna be like, we can't get any good gear. We're getting all grays in our chest, which was a problem that they had in the beginning of this wipe before they upped the gear. Everybody was complaining that all the chests that I open have whites. So there's no in between. I don't know what Iron Mace is gonna do. Obviously they have to do something. I don't think they have to do anything, but everybody's complaining about it. In my opinion, it's just completely get rid of HR. HR it only breeds negativity. If there was no HR, you can't complain about people bringing in gear to normals, and if you crank the gear in normals like they were not too long ago, like 3 or 4 hotfixes ago, then everyone's gonna have really good gear, or colored gear. They'll have purple. So that's what I think they should do. If you want my opinion, is just completely get rid of High Roller. Just make it normal. Make the game 3 maps. Yeah, it's Ruins, Goblin Caves, Crypts. And then when they add their other maps, just get rid of High Roller altogether. That's a hot take, because a lot of people might not like it, but it'll make the game feel much more populated. Because you wouldn't be splitting the lobby, what is there, 5 maps now? And the maps aren't even maps. It's just 2 variations of one map, and then 2 variations of another map, and then Ruins. Just make it all just 3 maps. Goblin Cave, Ruins, Crypts. Done. Crank the gear up to fucking 1 billion. If you have to. And then just slowly tone it down. But don't complain about what people use in game. It's not helpful or healthy in any way to tell people how they should play, because you're in full fucking purples and golds and you're killing people with no gear. That isn't an excuse to not be killed just because you don't have gear. You have just the same amount of time that I have between games to get gear, look at gear, buy gear, and put it on. You made the choice to go in with nothing. You can't complain when you get killed by someone who has more gear than you or outskills you. And a lot of people think that, oh, you just have 1 billion, the best gear in the game, and 1 billion gold. You're not outskilling nobody. You're just gear checking me. How do you think that the people in that position got that gear? Do you think it just fell in their lap? Like, obviously people RMT. I'm not talking about those. If you RMT, you're a fucking loser. It's so easy to make gold. But it just makes no sense. So my opinion on everything, how to fix it, is get rid of HR. Completely. There's nothing to complain about then. You can't tell the people with gear to go to normals. And then the population of people in normals, quote unquote, would be higher. So the disparity between the Timmies getting rolled every single game, quote unquote, by these juicers running the best gear they've ever seen would be much lower, because everything would all be one. There wouldn't be no naked rogues running into High Roller to make 1 billion gold, and and then the gear players that play normals, they could be matched up together more often, and because of the people in High Roller, it would fix a lot of problems that people have, in my opinion. You cannot share that opinion. You can share that opinion. It doesn't really matter to me. But I think that's what we should do. If you want to come hate watch me and tell me I'm shit for killing the fucking gray gear Timmies with my Biss kit on, go ahead. I stream pretty much every day. Twitch.tv/Bleachy. Drop a sub. Drop a follow. I'll catch y'all later.